The animated comedy series Bordertown, produced by Family Guy's Seth MacFarlane, will debut on Fox TV this spring. My guest, Chicano cartoonist Lalo Alcaraz, is a writer for the show and illustrator of the new book, A Most Imperfect Union. Lalo, welcome to Evening Edition.
Oh, thank you.
Now, your comic strip, La Cucaracha, has been both praised and criticized for its political perspective. For those people who aren't familiar with it, tell us what it's about.
Mostly criticized.
Mostly criticized.
In the pages of the local paper.
I see.
Well, it's really, when I walked in, you said, "You look like one of your characters." I said, well, you know, I didn't answer that, but the strip is basically myself when I was 25, the character Eddie, and his roommate is a anthropomorphic cockroach, a giant cockroach, kind of like a street poet, Chicano activist, and they're both me, you know, and sometimes I like to, you know, I overdo it on the politics and the activism, and sometimes I like to kick back and watch the game and have a beer. Well,
you grew up in San Diego and Tijuana, but your cartoons seem less about your childhood and, for example, this one, and more about issues like a current immigration debate or other social or racial concerns. What's the main intent behind your cartoons?
Well, I'm primarily an editorial cartoonist. That's how I started. I was the cartoonist at San Diego State when I was at San Diego State studying art, and I learned. People always ask, do you do it just to piss people off?
Exactly.
And
are you trying to provoke, or is there some other reason?
Not at all. I mean, I just, I tell people, A, I do this to amuse myself, and B, I do it to try to tell the truth about things, you know? And so whatever issue is in the news cycle, I'll write about it. And a lot of it happens to be immigration. A lot of it happens to be police brutality right now, and so that's what I write about.
What types of issues, or will these be the same types of issues that you're going to tackle on Bordertown, the new TV animation series?
Yeah, Bordertown, I'm a consulting producer and a writer on the show, and I occasionally get to help, not with the drawing, but with the design. You know, like they'll say, come and look at the interior of the Mexican family's home, and what do you?
Is it right? Says the white person.
I'm like, well, is there an Aztec calendar? Are there giant glass grapes? Is there a plastic-covered couch? You know, let's get serious. But the show, even though it's set in a border town, the border town of Mexifornia.
A make-believe border town.
Yes, I think it exists out there. It's kind of a little east of us here. It's really a metaphor for the changing demographics of the U.S. and the rise of Latinos as being the biggest minority.
So the characters, a couple of neighbors, who else? Border agents?
Yeah, there's a border agent, Bud Buchwald. He is the worst Border Patrol agent on the planet, and he's the weakest link in our Homeland Security. And then he lives next to Ernesto Gonzalez, who's been an immigrant here to the U.S. For 30 years, and Bud doesn't understand why Ernesto's doing better than he is. It's like, well, because Ernesto has 3 jobs, he's working you know, a lot.
I know you can't give a whole lot away, but Bordertown's producer, Seth MacFarlane, has been criticized quite widely for his ethnic stereotypes, for, I would say, maybe being racially sort of insensitive in his other shows. How do you deal with that? You are now an integral part of the show, and are you going to be perpetrating these sort of stereotypes?
Well, I'd just like to say I'm very happy that he's gotten the rap for being racially insensitive, because that's how I got my job. You know, when the reaction to Bordertown came out, it was one sentence. Seth MacFarlane is doing a show about Latinos. And the Latinos online went crazy, and then they announced, but Lalo Alcaraz is working on it, so there's hope, you know. And so I was brought in, and Gustavo Arellano, who writes the Ask a Mexican column, he's the editor of the OC Weekly. We're both there to kind of balance that out and to give really, I mean, we're both satirical writers, so we're not PC at all. And we're there to make things, you know, try to give good suggestions on authenticity or, you know, inside kind of Mexican jokes that that maybe some people might not be familiar with, or to kind of gauge, how things will play. A certain joke will go. But I'm very excited to be in there, in the belly of the beast at Fox TV, that's for sure.
It makes me wonder, do you think Latinos are making some headway in Hollywood?
They are, although when Chris Rock came out a few weeks ago and said that basically Los Angeles is a Mexican slave state as far as Hollywood is concerned, he hit it right on the nose. Because, yeah, there's still so much nepotism and in Hollywood, and people just hire people that look like themselves or people that happen to be their nephew. And some of these people are not the most excellent candidates.
Okay. Okay. Well, we are looking forward for the show, and yeah, we're gonna have to leave it there and watch the show and see what we think about it. Cartoonist Lalo Alcaraz, thank you so much, and happy holidays.
Oh, thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Feliz Navidad.
That's Spanish for Merry Christmas.